Ever stood in line at immigration with your palms sweating, wondering if the officer's stare is just neutral, or if they've already flagged you? The line inches forward. The man ahead of you is sent left. A woman is pulled aside without a word. You double-check your passport. Your chest tightens. You're not hiding anything, but that's not the point, is it? It's not about guilt. It's about uncertainty. About not knowing the exact question that's coming next, or whether the way you answer will make things worse. Most travel advice focuses on what to pack or which lounge has free snacks. But this part, this pressure zone at the border, it's where your trip can quietly unravel before it begins. Today, we're going to look at the questions they never warn you about, the ones that catch smart people off guard, the questions that don't sound tricky until they are. And more importantly, we'll break down how to answer them in a way that keeps things simple, clear, and confident without saying too much or the wrong thing. This isn't theory. This is what actually happens at the counter. Real insights from real travelers who've stood exactly where you're standing. You're about to learn how to avoid hours in a back room and how to get your passport stamped without second glances. Let's get into it. The golden rule of immigration. There's one golden rule when speaking to immigration officers. Be confident, brief, and honest. That's it. This is not the time to overshare, impress them with your life story, or ramble nervously. The more you talk, the more likely you are to say something that doesn't quite add up, even if your intentions are completely innocent. Immigration officers aren't just listening to your words. They're trained to watch how you say them. Hesitate too long? They notice. Change your tone mid-sentence? They catch it. It's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. It's what they do, all day, every day. Take Mark, a solo traveler heading into the UK. He was just trying to be friendly, chatty even. So when they asked, "Where will you be staying?" he gave the full itinerary, then started explaining why he chose those places, then mentioned a friend he might meet. The officer nodded and waved him aside for secondary screening. He wasn't suspicious. He was just talking too much. Immigration isn't casual conversation. It's not meant to feel personal, even when it sounds like it is. So, answer simply. Say what's asked, then stop talking. They don't need you to look nervous. They just need you to hesitate. That's when the second officer looks up. That's when the smile fades. And that's when a simple question turns into a second interview. But it doesn't have to go that way, because every question they ask at immigration has a purpose. And once you understand what they're really listening for, you stop guessing and start answering the right way. These are the most common questions immigration officers ask, not to trap you, but to test how clearly your story fits. Not just the words, but how you say them, what you pause on, what you over-explain, what you don't say. Let's break them down, one by one. As we proceed, if you're the kind of traveler who likes to stay ahead, smart, low-key, and always a step more prepared, subscribe now. We cover what most travel guides skip and what frequent flyers learn the hard way. Tap the like button to let us know this helped. It also tells the algorithm you're into practical, high-value content, so you'll actually see more of it. Now, let's keep going.
Question 1. What's the purpose of your visit? It sounds innocent, but it's the most important question on the list, because this one checks whether your reason for entering the country actually matches the visa you're holding. If you're on a tourist visa and you mention you're here to meet potential business partners, that's a problem. Even saying something like, "I'll be working online while I travel," can trigger more questions. They're not just listening to your plans, they're checking if those plans follow the rules. So keep it simple. If you're a tourist, say, "Tourism, I'm planning to see museums and local markets." No need to explain how the museum connects to your childhood dream or why this country was your 14th choice. Just one clean sentence. That's all they want. Question 2. How long are you staying? Here's where travelers often fumble. If you answer about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on weather and flight prices, you've already said too much. That sounds like uncertainty. Uncertainty makes them look closer. Even if your plans are open-ended, your answer shouldn't be. Say 3 weeks. Have that number in your head before you reach the front of the line. If you need to adjust it later, no one's stopping you. But at the counter, you're not there to brainstorm. You're there to be clear. Question 3. Do you have proof you're leaving? You might think this one only applies if you're flying in on a one-way ticket. It doesn't. Some officers ask this no matter what your flight says. They want to see evidence, a return ticket, an onward ticket, a departure plan. Best practice? Screenshot it. Email it to yourself. Print a copy and fold it inside your passport. Yes, you can rent a ticket from one of those proof of onward travel sites. They give you a fake but verifiable booking that disappears in 48 hours. And yes, that can work, but don't assume it always will. Some officers know those sites. Some will ask follow-ups. And if your answer doesn't match the date on the fake ticket, things get harder fast. Safer move? Book a refundable return flight. Cancel it later if you need to. That way, your documents and your words are in sync. Question 4. Where are you staying? Here's another one that trips up flexible travelers. If you like to wing it, hop city to city, book last minute, great. But don't say that at immigration. They're not looking for your full itinerary. They're looking for a starting point. Even if it's just your first night, have a reservation. Know the address, know the neighborhood. And say it like this. I'm starting at the Continental Inn in the Old Quarter. After that, I'll be heading to the coast for a few days. That's it. You've shown you're organized. You've shown you've thought it through. What you haven't done is raised a single red flag. These questions aren't random. They're not about making you nervous. They're about consistency. The details you share should fit together like puzzle pieces. If they do, you get your stamp. If they don't, they keep asking. Backup documents and unexpected requests. It's not just about what you say, it's about what you can show immediately. Even when your answers are perfect, officers may still ask for proof. A hotel booking, a return ticket, the address of your first night's stay. In those moments, searching your inbox or trying to reconnect to the airport Wi-Fi isn't going to help you. The smart move is to screenshot everything before you leave. Your hotel confirmation, your exit ticket, your itinerary. Keep it all in your phone's photo gallery so you can pull it up instantly without needing a signal. The next layer of preparation is having a travel eSIM already installed. This gives your phone a data connection the second you land, without swapping cards or waiting in long airport queues. If an officer asks to see a booking or flight detail, you don't want to be explaining why your screen won't load. But even with data and screenshots, there's a common point of failure: your battery. If your phone dies at the wrong time, it sends the wrong message. You might know what you're doing, but to them, you look unprepared. That's why a charged power bank isn't optional. It's quiet insurance. And if your trip involves multiple cities, complex plans, or any open-ended routes, print a physical copy of your itinerary. Not because you expect to use it, but because it removes doubt if anything else fails. Officers may not ask to see it, but if they do, it's better to reach for a folder than an excuse. These are small actions that quietly communicate something important. You're organized, clear about your trip, and not making it up as you go.
Personal and financial questions. Some of the most revealing questions at immigration are the ones that sound the most casual. They aren't always about where you're going. Sometimes they're about who you are and whether your story makes sense. When they ask about your occupation, they're not digging into your resume. They're making sure your job fits the profile of someone entering the country under your visa type. If you're a remote worker taking a break, just say so. If you're a nurse on vacation, keep it that simple. Don't elaborate, don't try to impress. One clear sentence is enough. Then comes the money question. How much do you have? It's not about what's in your wallet, it's about whether you can support yourself during your trip. Most of the time, they won't ask for proof. But when they do, you need something ready. A screenshot of your bank balance, a credit card, a printed statement. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to show that you're not going to become someone else's responsibility. In some countries, the number is specific. Spain, for example, expects travelers to show they have at least $120 for each day of their trip.
It's rarely enforced, but when it is, they want to see cash or bank access. One traveler learned this the hard way. No printed statement, no working Wi-Fi, and a card that wouldn't load. She got through? Barely. But it was a reminder, even in a digital world, paper still matters. When asked whether you packed your own bags, always say yes unless someone genuinely helped, like a spouse or family member. They're not looking to catch you out, they just want to know if you're aware of what's in your luggage. If they ask whether you're traveling alone, just answer the question. Yes, solo. Or, I'm with my sister. Don't overshare. Don't explain why. The same goes for questions about family. If you have relatives in the country, say so. They might ask for names, addresses, or contact numbers. It's not a trap, it's just another piece of your profile. Each answer is part of a pattern. The more straightforward it sounds, the less they have to question. Not every question at immigration is about logistics. Some are personal, invasive, and often unexpected. A solo female traveler might be asked, "Why are you traveling alone?" Or worse, "Where's your husband?" In some countries, officers have even asked, "Are you here looking for a relationship?" These aren't formal questions listed on any official guide, but they happen regularly, especially at borders in more conservative cultures or where solo female travel is less common. It can feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels insulting. But how you respond matters more than what's being asked. The safest approach is to stay calm and neutral. Don't react emotionally. Don't challenge the question. Just give a straightforward answer that reflects a clear, confident plan. I'm here on vacation, I booked my trip myself, I'm meeting friends later in the week. That's it. These questions say more about the country you're entering than they do about you. The goal isn't to argue, the goal is to pass through, protect your boundaries, and move forward. Most people who get pulled aside at immigration didn't say something wrong. They said too much, too little, or hesitated long enough to raise doubt. Vague answers are a red flag. So is over-explaining. If you pause, backtrack, or ramble, officers start to listen more carefully, not because they think you're lying, but because it suggests your story isn't solid. Then there's what you're carrying. What's in your bag has to make sense with the visa you're entering on. If you're on a tourist visa but have a suitcase full of audio gear, camera equipment, or programming textbooks, it can look like you're entering the country to work. Even if that's not your intention, it casts doubt. One remote worker brought podcast microphones into a country on a tourist visa. He wasn't recording anything, he just liked traveling with good audio. But that detail turned a normal entry into an hour-long inspection. It's not about hiding anything, it's about alignment. What you say and what you carry should match the visa in your passport. When it doesn't, they start asking more questions. Getting pulled aside doesn't always mean trouble, but it does mean you've entered a different process, one with more questions, more waiting, and no room for error. You may be taken to a secondary area. Your bags might be searched. An officer may type as you speak, asking the same questions again, this time in more detail. It can take minutes, it can take hours. There's no guarantee either way. The key is to stay calm. Don't argue. Don't try to explain too much. Clear answers, nothing more, nothing less. And whatever you do, don't joke. Not about drugs, not about politics, not about bombs. What sounds clever in line becomes a serious issue in the back room. Jokes don't land well in a place designed for suspicion. What gets you through isn't charm, it's clarity. Be prepared, be polite, and understand that in that room, every word matters. Preparation is quiet. It happens before the line, before the questions, before the stress. Print what matters, screenshot what you can't afford to lose. Know your answers before they're asked. You don't need to panic, you just need to be informed. If you want to avoid surprises at immigration, the next step is avoiding them at airport security. There's a separate set of mistakes travelers make, and they cost time, bags, and sometimes entire flights. Subscribe to Watch the Next video on airport security mistakes. It's short, practical, and might save you hours. The more you know, the smoother you go. Safe travels.